Since I'm not using a gym these days and I'm instead training outside with rings, I think it's a good idea to spend some more time on rowing variations when it comes to pulling movements, as opposed to what I'm usually doing in the gym, which is pull up variations, which are great, especially because my goal is to be able to pull myself up eventually all the way down to the waist line. So, not as normal to the chest, but all the way down, which I think is very, very cool. And one of the reasons why I was playing with explosive pull ups while I was going to the gym still. And the rowing movement pattern has something that is very specific to that because as my arms are moving behind my back, I am able to basically touch somewhere in between what's the chest and the belly button. So somewhere in the middle of the torso. So being able to progress that as well as the explosive pull-ups should be something that could give me ideally more benefits towards this goal of mine of being able to pull myself to the waist than just pull-up variations. And rowing movements are something that I, in the past, wanted to implement in my program, in my training daily routine, but I always end up not doing them for whatever reason. In the end, I am doing so many movements when I'm in the gym, apart from recently what I was dealing with injuries, that rows have always been kind of skipped over. And maybe finally, when I'm going back to the gym, I'm going to find a way to do something like that. Maybe on a Smith machine, placing a bench where I can rest my feet and then pull myself up like that, like an inverted row with my feet elevated. The rings are really good because the variations that I was doing with the tack rows is something that I think has the most carryover to what my goal is. But any kind of rowing movement is fine, and probably it's something that I could almost do daily, even though I have been tapering down my volume a lot recently because of my injuries. But yeah, definitely over my stay here, I am going to do way more rowing variations than pull-up variations. I'm going to be doing, I think, only the L-sit pull-up from the floor, which is something that still trains in kind of a strength range of motion because they are very challenging. And since I want to have a good technique, I'm always going to be going down to the floor and kind of rest at the bottom so that I can really go through the full range of motion without having my core being the limiting factor because I cannot keep my legs up. Now, what I was doing here, which was a bit dangerous, but still something that I think it's needed, was going through a few different angles and inclinations on the ring push-ups just to find out exactly where the pain starts. And yeah, I kind of knew that, but I wanted to test it more precisely. As soon as the elbow moves past the back, is basically where the load is too much, and I really feel the stretch in a painful way. And I still feel like I should be somehow progressing a variation of a push up in that range of motion that doesn't cause me pain, the same way that I was doing that with the elevated push ups before, but now with having an extra variable, which is the fact that the my hands are not really fixed to a surface. Yes, they're tied to rings, but there is much more freedom in movement there, and this is definitely something that is creating complexity there. So the way that I was able to progress my push-ups should be in a similar fashion, meaning that the progression should be from a very, very easy form of that movement to a slightly harder one for repetitions over time. And hopefully this is going to help out because I'm definitely positive on the fact that it was something of a pushy movement that gave me the pain to begin with. It was either an overhead press, the eccentric was giving me issues sometimes when it was too heavy and I wasn't controlling it properly, or maybe even bench pressing, failing a bench press with the weight that I wasn't able to do. So definitely progressing the movement that I think caused the pain in the first place is the way to go. And I was able to get better at normal push-ups by the same grace, I should be able to do the same thing with a different, harder variation. And the work that's passing by right now is more stuff, being able to move through different angles and orientations. All of this stuff is also assisting in providing the blood flow that should be helping in tendon remodeling and fixing this problem. So all of these exercises were done in a giant set fashion. And after that, I did another circuit, and then I forced myself to stop because I know that I'm always doing too much. And then I went and took a bath because I cannot really swim. It's the problem with the shoulder. And then I was able to sneak a couple of handstands in here. I was definitely conscious about the fact that people were walking past and I had to be careful and a bit sneaky. And also the fact that my wrist is not feeling the best still. So I did not really want to do anything that aggravated that. But it was fun. Ciao.